Just do it. Here we go. All right. Let's make sure everyone can see my screen. Perfect. So again, welcome to our Tenants Together volunteer welcome and orientation. My name is Lisa. My pronouns are she, her. I am the hotline slash helpline coordinator here, and I'm calling in from Southern California, Riverside County to be exact. The check-in question this evening was, what is your comfort food? So we had folks participate in the chat while we were waiting for others to land in the space. And it seems like we are all kind of in that space of the weather is changing, or at least the seasons should be changing. So pasta was in the chat, and that is also my comfort food as well, pasta. Um, so yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get us rolling. Now, throughout the training, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand with a reaction. Also, feel free to unmute. We have a smaller group this evening, so we should get through everything pretty quickly, but also that means that there will be extra space for live questions and answers. So please, if something doesn't feel clear, I also have two screens, so I'll be looking at the chat as well. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what our goals for this session tonight is. So we're going to start with understanding Tenants Together's mission and values from our strategic plan. Then we're going to review volunteer expectations and benefits. And then lastly, we're going to identify volunteer team projects. And there might be some time for a little bit of fun at the end. All right, so let's talk values. So here at Tenants Together, we know housing is a human right. Tenant rights are an essential part of fighting for justice and dignity. We believe in tenant self-determination and community control. We teach and learn two really, really, really big things. As you all enter your journey here as a volunteer with Tenants Together, you will find that we don't know it all, but together we know a lot. So no matter what team you're stepping onto here at Tenants Together, there's so much space to learn, but to also share what you've learned. So please, 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 please understand that it's a big you're stepping into something that needs the call to action. So you're answering the phone at the right time, but also understand that that doesn't mean you have to have all of the answers. And this will become a little bit clearer as you go on in your journey here. But so we teach and we learn. Tenant knowledge is power, and that leads to liberation. We are intersectional, which means the right to housing is aligned with other movement fighting against structural oppression and for social, economic, and racial justice. So although housing is our main sector, right, tenants' rights, we also have collaborations and partners with different organizations that help with social, economic, and racial justice. We are a movement led by tenants. By a show of in the chat, drop a thumbs up emoji if you are a tenant. If you're on this call and you're a tenant, drop a thumbs up emoji in the chat. So we are a movement led by tenants, ensuring the sustainability of our members, volunteers, and staff is the only way we will win. Yes. Yes, Natalie. Uriah, yes. I'm a tenant myself also. I'm also a tenant. All right. Right. Same. Our mission. Tenants Together is a statewide coalition of local tenant organizations dedicated to defending and advancing the rights of California tenants to safe, decent, and affordable housing. So what does that mean? A statewide coalition of local tenant organizations. So Tenants Together services the entire state of California, right? But what local tenant organizations means that we make up lots of different member orgs around the state. So let's call them clubs in terms of just trying to teach the concept a little bit, right? So there are lots of little club associations around the different counties in California, and a few of those associations pay a monthly membership to Tenants Together to be a part of our Greater Network Coalition. And so a part of the work that I do on the hotline is to help refer individual tenants who call us. Let's say there's a tenant calling from Los Angeles, and I know that there's a tenant union in Los Angeles, and I know that there's rent control in certain parts of Los Angeles County. So my job is to refer the tenant to that local tenant organization, right? So still on that this first bullet here, the local tenant organization in their city to help them fight for their rights. So the goal of Tenants Together is to have a tenant union or a tenant organization in every single county within California. And there's, I think, 56, give or take, counties in California, and we have about 27 of those that have tenant organizations or tenant unions, we also call them. So yeah, that's one of the big goals. And depending on what volunteer team you're joining, you will learn more about how tenant unions are formed and what the work, the pass off work can look like. But that's one of our biggest missions, being a statewide coalition with local tenant organizations who are dedicated to defending and advancing the rights of tenants on the ground, right? So not a statewide level, but just being able to know what's going on in the community. Next up, we believe that housing is a human right, as I stated in the last slide, not a commodity. We advance policy that is driven from tenant experience. And what this means, advancing policy that's driven from tenant experience, I don't know if you all have heard that last year in July of 2024, there was a law passed around security deposits and what a landlord is able to charge. And we were, that was like one of the policies that we were a part of, a bill that Tenants Together helped to sign on and like really push that. So that tenants would not have to continue to pay these outrageous security deposit fees, right? There, landlords were asking for first, last, and a security deposit as the actual security deposit. So now, because of the law that went into effect July 2024, the security deposit amount cannot exceed 1 month's rent unless they are a small mom and pop landlord. There's like one little provision there, but that's just an example of policy advancement that Tenants Together was a part of. And again, on the hotline, you will see if you are joining that team, you'll be able to see that the hotline portion of what we do here at Tenants Together would be considered like the front line, right? So advancing policy is all the way up the ladder with like legislation, our legislative director, our comms director, those folks who have their job is pretty much to know what policies and bills we need to sign on to, and to like push senators to vote the right way and things like that. So with the hotline, what we do is more so focused on the tenants. So let's say I'm like, hey, comms director, we really need to find a bill that we can latch onto that provides tenants the ability to break their lease if X, Y, and Z, right? Because there's already a few provisions around breaking lease, but maybe I've been hearing on the hotline that tenants are calling in, and this is a thing that we now need to kind of focus on. So I hope that kind of helps see where the roles intersect as far as on a statewide level, we want to attach on to bills that are going to advance tenants' rights. But that's driven from the experience that I'm hearing and that the counselors are hearing on the hotline. I hope that makes sense. Okay, the last bullet works to improve the lives of California's tenants through education, organizing, and advocacy. Tenants Together seeks to support and strengthen the statewide movement for tenants' rights. Do you have any questions so far? Questions, comments, anything like that? I can see the chat and I can also see the reactions if you have any reactions too. So feel free. All right. Next up, our core strategies. Can I have someone come off mute and read the first one for me?
I can go. Capacity building for local tenant organizing with a focus on supporting tenant unions and local leaders.
Yes, thank you so much. Snaps for Natalie. Thank you, thank you. And yeah, this is pretty much an extension of what I was saying in the last slide. That we really we are a statewide coalition of member orgs across the state. And we just really do focus on supporting tenant unions and local leaders. We have monthly membership meetings. We have new membership orientation. So again, you all are on the side of this where you're volunteering to help drive the work. However, there's a different side of this of tenant unions that are already formed that come to us to kind of get some of the information that you could be creating depending on what volunteer team you signed up for. All right, could I have someone come off mute and read the next one?
Right.
Okay. Oh, okay, I'll go ahead and read this. Movement building and network building with a focus on connecting and uniting tenant groups statewide.
Yes, thank you. Snaps for Mona Lisa, and I love your name, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, so again, same thing, movement building and network building. Like I mentioned in a few slides ago, you know, although we do focus on housing justice, it's all about network building. So we try to have a good network of lawyers who can interpret a bill for us and tell us like, hey, this is what you need to know through all of this fancy political elder constitution of rights 1800 language. Through all of that, here's what you need to tell the tenants so they can advocate for themselves. So that's one example of like network building, having a network of lawyers who will help us, having resources for tenants who are experiencing domestic violence, having resources for tenants who are experiencing mental health issues, just trying to always build up our network. And then the last one, can someone read the last one?
Yeah, state level advocacy for tenant rights by coordinating and mobilizing tenant groups in Sacramento.
Yes, thank you so much, Claudia. Appreciate that. So state level advocacy, and a great example of this is back in April, they did a march to the Capitol to protest and get the senators to actually give some answers and hear out the tenants. And yeah, it was really cool, but it also wasn't. It's just a hard time right now for folks to like leave their houses safely, if you know what I mean. People are getting kidnapped when they're trying to show up and fight for themselves. So although the last march in April had some had a little bit of success, and also just being able to like coordinate and mobilize together is super empowering in itself. But of course, when you're met with the enemy trying to, you know, literally continue to oppress you at every single turn, then it's not so easy. But we do try to have as much state level advocacy for tenants' rights as we can, and sometimes that means showing up in numbers at the doorsteps of the elected officials. So that's what this bullet kind of means. And if we ever have any actions that we're hosting or actions that we know about, we are sure to let you all know, and then you can sign up. And usually transportation is provided. Let's say like I live in Southern California. The last one that happened in April was in Sacramento, of course, and they had a bus that came from Southern California all the way up to Sacramento to take folks who are either a part of a tenant union or just wanted to go up and, you know, fight for the day. So yeah, we definitely let you all know in advance of any actions that are at a statewide level, local level as well, but for sure statewide. All right, next up. So this is my favorite part. Let's talk about who we are as far as the volunteer teams. So we are a coalition again of tenant leaders, usually tenants ourselves, and primarily women of color. The Knowledge is Power program. So that is the sector in which you are joining, okay? Knowledge is Power program. Coordinate and develop tenants together statewide tenants' right helpline. Update and develop education materials for individual tenant members who engage through the helpline and create a pathway for tenant leaders to engage in the housing justice movement as volunteers. Now, you will hear me say hotline, helpline, they're the same thing. We are just in the middle of a really big transition. And if you are joining the helpline team, I will go into more detail about what the hotline was historically and where we're currently taking it. But what everyone in this space needs to understand is that the Knowledge is Power program is the program that you're joining. Now, under that program, here are the 4 teams that we have. And this might look a little bit different, right? So we're all in this space tonight, but depending on what team you filled out an application for, your schedule and your projects will look a little bit different. And that's what we're going to get into. So first, we, of course, have the helpline team. I run that team, and I also run the data and tech team. Then we have research and advocacy team and training and organizing team, which is led by Victoria. The latter 2 are led by Victoria, who's our community leadership director and also my supervisor. And it's just the 2 of us. So the Knowledge is Power program came about back in 2021 to help respond, 2020, but I came on in 2021 to help respond to the overwhelming increase in calls that we were experiencing due to the pandemic and the world being shut down, landlords taking advantage of tenants not being able to pay, the statewide moratorium, the protections that took a long time for us to get. You know, there was the pandemic time for tenants was, it was, I feel like I still have nightmares. We had hundreds and hundreds of calls. We had hundreds of people, hundreds and thousands of people who weren't getting their emergency rental assistance program money. I mean, the list goes on. So the Knowledge is Power program was created around that time to kind of like help do some patchwork. It just felt like we were in this really big sinking ship, and we needed something and someone, and that just so happened to be me and another colleague who is no longer with us, but now we're a 2-person team, which again is myself and Victoria. So helpline team, data and tech team, research and advocacy, training and organizing team. Let's talk about the specifics for each team after we go over some brief expectations. So all of you should have gotten the volunteer agreements in your next steps email. If you didn't, just let me know, but I'm pretty sure that you all did. And then you already, so the first 2 bullets you should be good with. So completed and submitted the new volunteer form. And again, all of you should have done that already because that's how you're here. That's where I got your contact information from to reach out to you, was from the volunteer form. Submit and sign your volunteer agreements. If you haven't done so, you still have time to do so. You want to do it before you enter into your volunteer teams. And if you have any questions about the volunteer agreements, or again, you didn't get them, just let me know, but go back to that original next step email and they should be there. And then complete the tenant rights training series to build a base understanding of California housing landscape. So that tenant rights training series is happening this Tuesday and this Thursday from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And it'll be myself and Victoria as the facilitators. And again, if you can't, I think we might have outlined that in the email. If you can't make it, please still register, because then you will, you'll get the materials. So if you can't make it, but you register, we send out all of the recordings and the slides and all that fun stuff afterwards for your review. Okay, so again, that's Tuesday, November 4th, and Thursday, November 6th. You'll get a few reminders again in this space before we close out for the evening, but yeah, that's pretty much it for your immediate next steps. These are the 3 things that you want to have done, and two out of the 3 should kind of be complete. Volunteer benefits. So some benefits you get from volunteering with us. We have Translocal Tenant Network, which is, think of it like a workshop space. So every single month, or excuse me, bi-monthly, we used to have it every month, but bi-monthly, we hold different workshops. Like for example, I'm hosting one on November 17th about tenant unions, one-on-one, and base building. So that's something that's open to you all to come to kind of like learn more. Each month each session, it's a different topic. So you get those, we add you to our email listserv, and then you just get updates on what the monthly Skillshare conversations and trainings are. And then you can come, or you can just say, hey, not going to make it, send me the video afterwards. We try to record everything. And then another benefit, so you get support from local member organizations, actions, events. You can also support your liaison representative of Tenants Together at trainings, panels, events, potentially, of course, if you would like to continue and grow with us, then we do have different capacity levels for different volunteers. And then we host volunteer appreciation events. Sometimes we do them in person and sometimes we do them virtually, or we've even done a hybrid. And so we usually just like play games. We treat you all to some type of snack or dinner or a gift card, just to show our appreciation. And we do that about at least twice a year. So usually in the spring and then in the fall. So yeah, those are some of the benefits with being a part of our team. And again, speaking of teams, let's talk about the teams. So if you signed up for a data and tech team, you will help to develop tech tools, as simple as that sounds. Definitely not simple, but it sounds so simple, to help tenants navigate their rights. So let's talk about time commitment. So the requirement is at least 3 months. So from the time that you start with your team, at least 3 months, 10 hours per month minimum. So the helpline team is the only team that's on a weekly basis. All of the other ones are pretty much bi-weekly or twice a month. And then, yeah, we just require you to participate in 3 out of the 4 remote team meetings. But also, if your schedule changes and you still want to help, but you're not able to make the meetings, you can just talk to your team lead about that. And we make accommodations all the time. Also, with the data and tech team, I said you meet kind of like bi-weekly or twice a month, and that's going to be on Mondays, the first Monday, starting with the first Monday of the month from 5:30 to 6:30. So let's see, for example, I'll have a meeting this Monday because it's the first Monday, and then I'll have another one in 2 weeks. And you're offered support and training from myself, and then also administrative support from Victoria, our community leadership director. The ways that we collaborate on the data and tech team, like, all of this is remote. So I'm not sure if any of you have had experience with either working remotely or volunteering remotely, but collaboration on different tech tools is kind of one of our requirements to like keep the work going and to keep the team engagement going as well. So we collaborate via Slack, the team OneDrive folder, our Outlook calendar, and ongoing notes. And again, when you kind of venture off into your separate teams, you will get more information on like, how to sign up for Slack and where to find the OneDrive folder and all of that fun stuff, right? So tonight we're just getting information about the teams, but when you break off into your individual teams, then you'll get lots more information about, you'll go through an onboarding process. And in that onboarding process, you'll get all of this stuff. Do we have any questions about the data and tech team? You'll also learn what project specifics we're working on. All right. Next up, we have the training and organizing team. This is, again, one that Victoria is the team lead on. And so the goal of the training and organizing team is to develop the pathway between organizing and know your rights. So an example would be political education toolkits, flowcharts of organizing strategies, all of this to help build capacity for tenant unions. So training and organizing team is exactly what it sounds like, right? And the requirements for this team, same as the data and tech team, 3 months at least, with 10 hours per minimum. A few differences other than the time requirement being one of the only things actually that's the same. They meet twice a month, the first and the third Tuesday evenings of the month from 5:30 to 6:30. So data and tech team is on Mondays, training and organizing is on Tuesdays, and yes, you guessed it, research and advocacy should be on Wednesdays. And there is one-on-one support offered and training from regional coordinators. administrative support from community leadership directors. And another difference is that you don't collaborate. If you're a part of this team, you won't be collaborating via Slack. These are the 3 ways that you will collaborate: Outlook calendar / email. There's a Team OneDrive folder, and then ongoing notes. Any questions about the training and organizing team? All right. And then we have the research and advocacy team, and their mission is to investigate resources to share with tenants. So for example, the local resource directory. Again, if you remember a few slides ago, I was sharing that we're always trying to build our network and our resources and referral directory. So this research and advocacy is a huge part of driving that engine to make sure that all of our resources are up to date. And then also the mission is to identify housing policy and trends, create design series. This is a new project. So this number 2 is something that if you're just joining this team, you will be spearheading this new project. Create design series of tenant rights information to distribute. So we're trying to up our knowledge share, and there's some new platform. Listen, I don't know much about it, right? I don't know much, so I don't want to misinform you or like misguide you. But again, you'll learn more about this in your individual team if you're a part of this team. Same thing, 3 months commitment, 10 hours per month minimum. Participation in 3 out of the 4 remote team meetings is required. Meet twice a month. Oh, this one is not on Wednesdays, it's on Thursdays. I think that is a change that we made our last go around a few months ago. Now these meetings are on Thursdays from 5:30 to 6:30. One-on-one support and training from our coordinators and our community leadership directors. All right, and Natalie, did you sign up for research and advocacy team? Is that your team?
Yes, I did. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, that is perfect. Okay, cool.
Things just
All
work
right.
out beautifully like that.
Yeah, right. I love when that happens. Okay, and then same thing, collaboration. OneDrive folder. There's a team folder, and in the folder you have all of the past collaborative efforts, past project information, and then holding space for some new stuff too. All right, and then let's see. Any questions so far on the teams? We're gonna move on. We have one more team left, and that's the best team. Don't tell anyone I said that. But just kidding. The helpline team, that's my little baby. It's a big baby actually. So Tenants Together statewide, Tenants Rights Helpline and tenant clinics offer peer support to those most impacted by the housing crisis to assert their rights and protect their homes and families. Full English fluency is required to use our helpline tools, but if you speak English and Spanish, we would love to have you in a bilingual capacity. And if you recall, as I mentioned a few slides ago, this is the one team that has more of a more frequent commitment as we do meet. You would have to choose a shift once a week, and that shift is for 3 hours. The time commitment is still the same, 3 months, right? But again, the only difference is your weekly shift. So let's talk a little bit about what the shift could potentially look like. So we require 12 to 15 hours per month, which equals 1 hour weekly shift. And the weekly shift could either be from Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., or Fridays. We have we like to hold space for our Spanish side of the hotline on those days, but that time is from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And you get support from myself, the hotline helpline coordinator, and then administrative support from our community leadership director, who just joined the space. Hi, Victoria, welcome.
Hi. Sorry, thanks. The volunteer team wrapped early, so I thought I would join in. Hi, everyone.
Awesome, thanks for joining. Yeah, we're just moseying on through here. And then, so the way that we collaborate in our team space for this volunteer team. We use Slack. We use our Hotline Huddle Zoom room and the Hotline Resource Hub. Those are the three main ways of collaboration. In the beginning, we will use a little bit of email communication back and forth to kind of like get your onboarding going and get you all set. But for the most part, these are the big three buckets that we use to collaborate. And the Zoom room never changes. It's just considered like an open space. And if the link would ever change, I would definitely be sure to let you know, but it's historically been the same for some years now. So once you receive your next steps after the Tenants' Rights training series next week, you'll get that Zoom link and you'll be able to hold on to it, okay? Do we have any questions so far on the helpline team? No, no, no. All right. All right, so next we're going to talk about our community agreements. And this is the first time you see this poster, but it will not be the last, okay? So we really like to go over and create established community agreements because they create an opportunity for all to identify and reflect on what is needed to build a brave and welcoming space for everyone. So this is a living document that will be adapted to meet the needs of our volunteers. So let's go ahead and go over the agreements. Could I have someone come off mute and read the first one, please? The first one and the little sub one under that.
I can go. No one knows everything, but together we know a lot. We honor each other's experience, voice as learning opportunities for all.
Snap, 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 snaps. Thank you, thank you. All right. Would someone like to read the next one?
Wait, I can go. One person, one mic. Do not speak for whole groups or express assumptions about the experience of others.
Thank you, thank you. And the next one?
I can go next. Make space, take space, encourage full participation by all present.
Perfect. Snap, snap, snaps. And the next one?
I'll go. Understand the difference between intent and impact. Acknowledge impact. Denying it by focusing on intent is more destructive than the initial interaction.
Yes. Snap, snap, snaps. And I can read the next one. Be curious. Be open to try on new ideas or ways of doing things. And would anyone like to read the next one?
Sure.
I can go. Oh, sorry, Mona Lisa.
Oh, go ahead, please, because I did.
Okay. Be in rhythm with time. And this is one I always need support with. Be in rhythm with time. So divest from urgency and give the time and space required for the subject.
Snap, snap, snap. Okay, Mona Lisa, take us home.
All right, so let's see. Be your own boo. Understand and respect our individuals' limits to engage in the moment. Sorry, in the movement for the long term. Have fun.
Hey, snap, snap, snaps. Thank you so much. You know, this is one of the smallest groups I've had, and that is the quickest that we've gone through those community agreements as a share out. So thank you. Check us out. Working together already. Great, 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 great. Okay, so are there any agreements that feel unclear? Let's hold a little bit of space. Anything that feels unclear that we want to take some time in the group and kind of talk about? If not, can you please uplift an agreement in the chat that you are going to embody or call in for yourself? I'm not going to say today. I'm going to say for this week, for the remainder of this week, or the next couple of days. Share one agreement in the chat that really is kind of standing out to you that you want to embody. I can share while you all are kind of thinking. Be curious and being open to try on new ideas or ways of doing things. Sometimes I think I'm so open-minded, and then I also feel like I'm a creature of habit. So trying to find a balance between being open of trying new ways of doing things, and then also honoring the fact that I want to be in my routine. So that's one for me, being curious.
Okay, so we're just choosing and sharing what we could relate to or what our favorite. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Yep.
So yeah, I would love the first one. No one knows everything, but together we know a lot. And it's so true. We honor each other's experience, voice as learning opportunities for all. Yeah, this is so true because I I have so much more to learn. And you know, this year is my first year um, exercising my tenant rights. Yeah. So I'm super excited because I wanted to know more and I started Googling and that's how I discovered Tenants Together. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we are so honored to have you, and I can't wait to hear more about your story of fighting your rights.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you. All right, and Sherry, thank you for dropping in the chat, being rhythm with time. Yes, yes. Thank you, Victoria. One person, one mic. Victoria says, sometimes I get excited about the topic and go off on a tangent. Yes. Natalie, be your own boo. Thank you to the book, Rest is Resistance. Yes, we're familiar with that book around here. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Okay, cool. Well, we have a really fun activity that we're going to do. I did say in the beginning that, we might end a little bit early because we do have such a smaller group. But before we do this activity, let's go over like closing and next steps just so that we can wrap up the recording, right? Because if you're watching this at a different time, hi, I'm from the past and you're in the future. But I don't want to give you all of that fluff. So I'm just going to wrap up like the presentation part, all of the need to knows, even though if you are watching this in the future, your dates will be completely different than this. However, whatever your dates are outlined in the emails that you received from myself or Victoria, you should also have received a registration confirmation once you registered for the Tenants Rights Training Series for whatever term you're registering for, you will have those dates. So please ignore that, but the next steps will be important. And before I do that, Victoria, did you have something you want to share?
I just wanted to offer like any Q&As. I'm the staff lead for the research team and the training and organizing team. And I know I came in like right at the tail end, Lisa, when you were finished describing all of the projects. And so I know that there's a couple people here that are interested in participating in those teams. And so I just wanted to like say, like, if there was any lingering questions, I'm here now and I'm happy to answer them before we go on to next steps.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's give, I went back to the training and organizing slide. So if there's like anything you want to say, if you want to say a few words.
I was just mostly like, if folks had any questions, I like can
Yeah.
quickly answer them because I don't want to take
Okay.
away from what you had scheduled and like next steps, but just like
Oh yeah,
if
absolutely.
folks had any specific questions about those two teams, I could answer them now quickly before we get to the fun part and like the community building part.
Yeah. Is there anyone, Natalie, do you want to ask a little bit more about design series? No pressure.
Yeah.
So sorry. No pressure.
Oh no, you're good. I was gonna drop it in the chat, but it's easier just to talk. Yeah, do you want to tell us more about Zine series and like what does that look like? What types of programs will we be using to create this zine, so on and so forth, or anything else you want to share, Victoria?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. So this request came to us, both Lisa and I, from our colleague her name is Shar, and she is a regional coordinator for the Central Valley. So the way we've kind of organized our work, like statewide, is kind of in this like translocal formation, where we realize that like together to make important statewide demands, we need to like uplift the work of like local leaders. And so we have different regional coordinators for Southern California, Northern California, and most recently in the last 2-3 years, we've brought in a coordinator from the Central Valley. And their name is Shar, and Shar was participating just recently at a UC Merced Rural Housing Justice conference, I think it was, and a group of artists and students that were inspired at the conference reached out to Shar and were like, hey, we're really interested in learning more about our tenant rights, and we think it would be really important to the community of Merced to be able to share know your rights information about the available tenant protections, and they wanted to do so in the form of a zine. So like to me, what I know about zines is mostly what I see at my local bookstore. So it's like basically kind of like a pamphlet that, or like a flyer. Sometimes they're like mini little like booklets that often will talk about like a niche interest, maybe it's about arts, about politics, kind of something specific. Usually it incorporates both information and like doodles and like arts. And so the first zine that this group of artists and students from UC Merced wanted to create is about the Tenant Protection Act that came into play. We voted it in 2019 and it came into play in 2020. You all will learn about this starting next week in the tenant rights training series. But the Tenant Protection Act, it offers like two types of protections. It offers protections around about rent cap, like how much your rent can increase year to year, as well as protections around evictions. And so that is like the first zine that they want to create. And so they wanted to use the support of research volunteers to help them create like the Know Your Rights content for the zine. And so as a volunteer with Tenants Together, you will be able to access like our digital kind of like library of materials. What we have is like what I call the holy book. It's like a big, huge textbook, and we have it in a virtual format. It's called the Nolo is like the publisher. And it's written by this tenant lawyer that's been a friend of the TT organization and movement for a very long time. And it's really specifically written to support tenant protections and how tenants can enforce your rights. So you will have access to this like thick textbook and many more materials to do the research needed to create the content for the zine. And yeah, so that is the goal, and that's the inspo for the zine tenant rights information project. And that's a new project that we will get started probably at like end of December, because we'll start having the conversations, but really kick it off the ground in January. And then I'm dropping the link in the chat for the tenant rights training series that I think most of you guys are already registered for. That happens next week. Yeah, awesome. Okay, glad that answered your question. Any other questions about research advocacy or training and organizing that I can answer? Okay, cool. Well, yeah, back to you, Lisa. Thanks for letting me do that.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so again, gonna just close up for the next steps. And like Victoria mentioned, you will, like I also mentioned too, you're gonna learn more, right? So tonight was just a little bitty slice of what your future is going to look like here with your time with us and on your volunteer teams and in your working in your projects. So again, please be sure that you are registered for both days of your tenants' rights training series, whatever cohort you are a part of. For all of you in this current space, you are a part of our fall/winter, I guess, like winter cohort. And again, that training is Tuesday and Thursday this upcoming week from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And just as a rule of thumb, we usually host these welcome and orientation events the week before your training series. So that can also let you know if you're watching it in the future, then your training series should be next week. So please be sure that you're registered. Again, even if you can't make it, register in advance. Victoria dropped the link in the chat right now. You should also have that link in your next step emails. You will, there will be a lot of repetition over the next few weeks as you're learning the process and you're finding out where we keep everything and what you need to have and what you need to know. So just be patient with us. But of course, like repetition is the easiest way to actually learn something. So again, you should have that link multiple places now. Please be sure to register. If you cannot attend, still register and let myself or Victoria know that you won't be attending, right? So that we know not to expect you, but that you know you're still committed to showing up. Any questions about your next steps after this meeting? If not, then can you please drop in the chat when we will see you again? When's the next time we should see you? Drop it in the chat, please. Let me know. November 4th, yes. Tuesday at 5 p.m. November 4th, yes. Absolutely. Snap, snap, snaps. We'll see you Tuesday. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now.